Oh, wow. Nice car.
Yeah, it is a really nice car. I just drove it from my really nice house. A lot better than this house you got. Look at your car. I'd be embarrassed to drive around in that thing. But, I'm a better person than you and I know how to live in style.
You think that because you have a nice big house and a really nice car that makes you better than me?
Of course it does, man. It means I'm successful and popular. I know how to make good choices.
You know how to make good choices? How much is your car payment a month?
Oh, it's not important. I can afford it.
How much is your house payment?
It's not important.
How many people even live in that house with you?
Well, it's just me now that my fourth wife is, left. Anyway, so yeah, I'm better than you, man.
Have you ever thought that maybe it's not your possessions that make you better? Maybe it's your character that defines who you are as a person.
I don't have time for this, man. I gotta go buy a new iPhone.
Wisdom,
Prudentia,
justice,
Justitia,
temperance,
Temperantia,
courage.
Fortitudo.
Applying ancient philosophy to modern life. This is the Sunday Stoic.
Welcome to the Sunday Stoic Podcast. This is Steve coming to you from Conway, Arkansas. And hey, what's going on with you here in Arkansas? COVID numbers are skyrocketing. We have officially banned mask mandates unless they are enacted by the legislature. So a city can't do it, a school can't do it. It's against the law. Logic is strong and, well, dead here in Arkansas. But the good news is all I have the power over is my own logic, my own thoughts, and my reactions. So hopefully, I can keep that up and do okay for myself. We are proceeding through the Enchiridion. We are getting to some advanced lessons in Stoicism now as we near the end. And this week we will have 3 readings. The first reading, we will discuss how we need to figure out how we frame things. When we look at an event in our life, much like when we look at a picture on the wall, how we frame it can have a big influence on what we think about it. Do we frame it with a crappy $1 Walmart frame or a really nice frame that makes it look a lot better? Do we approach things from this angle or do we approach things from another angle? That's what the first reading will be about. The second reading reminds us to judge things based on reality, not based on superficial crap. Like, hey, this person has a nice car, they're better than me. This person's rich, therefore they must be intelligent. Anyway, so we got to keep that in mind. Also, the last reading, we have to once again think about our framing. How do we judge and how do we judge things? When we see something happen, we can interpret it this way. We can interpret it that way. We have to think about the narrative we're telling and ensure that it's factual and that we're not adding emotional content to our evaluations of the world. And that's what we're going to talk about this week. Now, before I continue, I want to thank my patrons. I want to thank Ian and Paul for supporting the Sunday Stoic podcast on Patreon. Thank you so much for your support. You can also do so at patreon.com/SundayStoic. I really appreciate the patrons who help keep the lights on. I may need to buy a computer soon to produce the podcast on, as mine's crapping out at home here. And I couldn't do that. It'd be hard to justify it to the wife when we're, making house payments and everything else. But because the show is self-supporting, it is possible to do these things. And I greatly appreciate that. I am humbled by the fact that this silly little podcast supports itself. That's awesome. Thank you so much to my community of listeners. Even if you don't commit financially, I'm not trying to get rich with this thing, but if you can just share the show with a friend or give it a good rating online, these things help immensely. Chapter 43. Everything has two handles, one by which you can carry it, the other by which you cannot. If your brother wrongs you, do not take it by that handle, the handle of his wrong, for you cannot carry it by that, but rather by the other handle, that he is a brother, brought up with you, and then you will take it by the handle that you can carry it by. Chapter 44. It is illogical to reason thus: I am richer than you, therefore I am superior to you. I am more eloquent than you, therefore I am superior to you. It is more logical to reason, I am richer than you, therefore my property is superior to yours. I am more eloquent than you, therefore my speech is superior to yours. You are something more than property or speech. Chapter 45. If a man wash quickly, do not say that he washes badly, but that he washes quickly. If a man drink much wine, do not say that he drinks badly, but that he drinks much. For, till you have decided what judgment prompts him, how do you know that he acts badly? If you do as I say, you will assent to your apprehensive impressions, and to none other. As I said earlier, as we progress through the book, it gets more and more in-depth, more and more advanced. And everything we talk about really ultimately in this Enchiridion is about what we prefer, what we prefer, what we have aversions to, how we think about things, having clear thinking about things the right way in order to remain undisturbed. It's not that we're lying to ourselves, but the narratives we tell ourselves about the world line up with the Stoic ideal that we're trying to live according to nature, and that things happen. Suffering is inevitable. Like in Buddhism, things will happen that will cause us to suffer. And by suffer, I mean experience pain or experience loss. But how we then interpret that and what we do with that decides whether or not we're going to continue to suffer. In Buddhism, there's this idea of the first arrow. You get shot with an arrow. Thwap! Ow! Ugh! Ow! Someone stole my car. Ow! Okay? That's the first arrow. Now, are you going to suffer from that loss for an extended time? That's the second arrow, which if you're a normal person, you're going to go like, oh, why? Why did this happen? Thwap! Ugh! That's the second arrow. Ow! Why? But from a Stoic perspective, we're using Stoicism in this podcast. You could use Buddhism or some other philosophy. We're trying to figure out how to avoid suffering, to avoid that second arrow, the missiles of fortune, right? That Seneca might talk about. Things will happen, but that doesn't mean we have to let them hurt us. And that's all about how we frame things, how we think about things, the way we put our own spin. Doesn't mean a lie. Just how we are determined to interpret the things that happen to us. These are things that happen. They are not personal from the universe trying to crush us. They are not necessarily an evil, because the only things that are evil are our own internal failures. Our failures to think about things correctly, our failures to act correctly, our failures to live according to nature. The first reading from today: everything has two handles. And I think I've mentioned this in the past when I've talked about this reading, but when I first read this, I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? I'm picturing like a coffee cup with two handles. And I'm like, well, I'll grab it from this one, or I'll grab it from that one. What are you talking about? But what he's saying here is that we have a choice when we make a decision, when we are thinking about things. Once again, how we frame things. If your brother is doing something that's making you mad and you need to talk to your brother, You can talk to your brother from two perspectives. One, what the hell is wrong with you? I can't believe you're doing this. I'm never going to talk to you again. La, 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 la. And likely you're going to drive a wedge that pushes you further apart. Or you can remember the good times. Remember, this is my brother, the only brother I'll ever have. Or if your brother's a dick, you back off and say, this is a human being. There is a certain level of respect due to all human beings, and I will give them that respect. Now, what they do with that is up to them, but you can approach it by giving them some level of dignity rather than just coming unglued. Think about the two ways you can approach any situation. One may be more just than the other. That's a hard one sometimes. But it's always best, you've heard the phrase, be the better man, right? If you have someone in your family, let's say, I'm going to stick with family because that's what he's talking about here. Let's say you have an aunt or an uncle who are, treating your grandma real bad. And you have to talk to them. Well, what do? Do you come at them screaming? Well, then you're at their level. It's best to have dignity, to approach things with a clear head. Remember that there are good things about them. You've had good times in the past. Whatever's happening now might seem to you to be really stupid, but you can approach it with logic like a chess player would approach it rather than how a football player might approach it and tackle them, right? Approach it more like a strategy. Be kind. Remember that they are part of your family. Approach it that way. Same thing with a boss. Remember, they're an idiot and they're your boss. Bear that in mind when you're approaching them. Think about how you want to approach that. Which handle do you want to grab this argument by? I'm not going to tell you which one to grab it by, but think about it before you grab anything by a particular handle. Maybe there's a time where you want to be abrupt, brief, and say, this is stupid. I'm not going to deal with this anymore. Bye. And that's fine. But as long as you arrive at the conclusion logically before you engage in the situation, if possible. The second reading. Your stuff and your abilities do not define you as a person. Your car does not make you better than someone else. Your house does not make you better than someone else. Even your ability to speak does not make you better than someone else. It means your stuff is better than their stuff, or more expensive anyway than their stuff. Your speech is more eloquent than theirs. It doesn't make you better. You are more than your possessions or your speech. You are your decision-making processes. You are your ability to bear what life has to give you and to make the best of it. Now, you may be better at those things than others, but it's because you're working on it. But at the same time, remember that going back to the first reading, someone who is hard to deal with still has good qualities. There's more to them than the problem you're seeing, and try to engage with them from that perspective. They are probably just mistaken. Or you may be mistaken. Once again, never forget that's a possibility. So take things by the right handle and remember to interpret things correctly. Put the right frame on things. Hey, I have this nice new car, therefore I'm better than you. No. That's not reality. That's how we're taught by society to believe. I need this new thing. I need this new iPhone. I need this new car. I need this because that keeps me on an equal footing or superior footing to those around me. But that's not reality. Lastly, once again, how do you frame things? Does a man bathe quickly? Don't say that he's bathing badly. Does someone drink a lot of wine? Well, don't say they drink badly, but that they drink a lot. Put the right frame on things. Be accurate in the way you think about things and the story you tell yourself about the things you see. Because if you start adding meaning to everything, you're going to get the meaning wrong because you don't know what's in their head. You don't know what's going on in every external aspect of the world, and therefore you're going to have false opinions. How do you know they're acting poorly unless you know their whole situation? So don't add opinions to things when there's no need for an opinion. Oh, that person drinks too much. They are drinking too much. Well, if you're a bartender and you know that person has to drive, you may have the right to say that. But if, right, in this example anyway, but you know what I mean? But if you go around saying, well, that person's acting like a jerk, or that person should do this, that person should do that. Oh, why don't they do this? In many cases, it's best just to have no opinion, to let it go. That person has an expensive car, therefore they're better than me. Drop the last part. That person has an expensive car. That person has a nice house. That person made a decision that didn't work out so good. You know, rather than adding, that person's an idiot, that person's amazing, that person's a jerk. Try to focus on just the facts as much as possible when interpreting events, because a lot of times our interpretations then fire up our emotions and lead us into discontent, away from equanimity and magnanimity. So there's some stuff to think about this week. Once again, thanks for listening. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. We're reaching the end of the Enchiridion. What would you like me to do next? Do you have any thoughts before I come up with what I'm going to do next? I'll gladly take opinions because, oh man, my kid's about to start kindergarten. I'm about to start teaching again. Things are going to get crazy. So having a clear plan of action would be great. But I don't have one yet. So, hey, hive mind of the Sunday Stoic listeners, all you Sunday Stoic parishioners out there, what would you like me to do next? What are your suggestions? All right, everyone, seize the day. Carpe diem. And don't forget, you can get ad-free episodes by subscribing on Patreon. Carpe diem.
Thank you for listening to The Sunday Stoic. Become a member of the Sunday Stoic team. Earn rewards by becoming a patron at www.patreon.com/SundayStoic. Contact the show by emailing sundaystoic@gmail.com. And as Steve always says, Carpe diem.